Mark Waid, writer of Superman Birthright, and you're listening to Krypton Report.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird!
It's a plane! It's
The Krypton Report.
I am your host, Tyler, and welcome to Krypton Report, a podcast dedicated to all things Superman, Supergirl. We're going to look at the Supergirl TV series, as well as the Krypton TV series, anything that has to do with the characters in their world. Comics, movies, TV shows. We will talk about everything and anything. We are part of the Southgate Media Group podcasting network. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at Krypton Report. You can also email us at kryptonreportpod@gmail.com. If you get a chance to go over to iTunes, Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review to help us get better. You can find me personal at JTYPatrick on Twitter and everything else. You can buy a Krypton Report t-shirt at tpublic.com. Check it out. They have all sizes, colors, styles of shirts. Just go to tpublic.com and search Krypton Report, and you'll see our logo. And every time you buy a shirt, it helps support other podcasts from southgatemedia.com. Thank you. Enjoy the show. So I wanted to get some quick quotes, and so I decided to ask some of my friends. So I asked Zach Moore from the Always Hold On to Smallville podcast what his thoughts on Metropolis were.
Yeah, so Metropolis... I think when we were all watching Smallville back in the day, we were hoping, oh, wow, this will be fun. Maybe one day we'll get a sequel series and they'll call it Metropolis or something, right? I think that's what everybody was speculating, especially in the early years of Smallville, because you had about 5 years into the show, and you're like, okay, how long is the show going to last? Is there going to be a sequel show? Let's turn it into a Superman show. Let's flash forward to the future. Let's call it Metropolis. Obviously, that never happened. The last 2-3 years of Smallville were basically like a reboot of Lois and Clark. So basically their own kind of Metropolis show. So there's that factor. So when you hear there's going to be a show called Metropolis, but it's not going to be connected to Smallville, you're like, what? And I mean, obviously, Smallville ended a few years ago, so that's not. It's not quite the same as when they did Arrow and they did a whole new universe. I think it's a similar feeling, though, because it's like, oh, you're doing an Arrow spinoff. Well, obviously, you're going to spin off Smallville and use Justin Hartley and this whole universe you created. No, we're going to start over. It has nothing to do with the show you've been watching for 10 years. Oh, okay. I mean, if you look back at Smallville, they had a Flash, they had a Supergirl, they had an Arrow, they had an Aquaman, right? They could have done spinoffs of all those characters. They never did. But now you look at the CW today. Cyborg, yeah, that's true. Zatanna, Hawkman, yeah. You could have had spinoffs of a lot of these characters and never did, and then you see that there are shows about them now. So then you see, just in concept, like as a Smallville fan, it's kind of disappointing to know there's a Metropolis show that's coming and has nothing to do with Smallville. And then as a whole, or Superman, yeah, exactly. So that's the other thing. The whole concept of the show is, hey, is Metropolis before Superman? It's like, well, why? Why would you do that? Like, maybe like a flashback episode of a Superman show can show you Lex and Lois and all these guys before Superman showed up, but not a whole series. That's just to me that doesn't. I don't know. Like, I'm a Superman fan. I'm going to watch it. I give all these shows a good 10 episodes or first half of first season to decide what I think. So I'm not going to judge it before it comes out. I did the same thing with Gotham, and then I gave up on Gotham halfway through the first season because I didn't like it at all. I thought it was not very good, and not just like because I like Batman. I'm like, this is different.
Well, Gotham's a weird show because they started with an idea, then they changed that idea, then they made it a Batman show without Batman, but then they kept putting more young Bruce in there and trying to build up to him being like Batman or something. So Gotham just kept going through all these twists. Like, they didn't have a clear vision what they wanted to do. They kept changing it. And my thought with Metropolis is, one, I have two ideas. One, it would be really neat if during the run of Metropolis, like Lois is investigating, kind of like she did at the beginning of Man of Steel, like these weird instances of a character, someone like this savior, to where like it's during the period where Clark's traveling the world, and she's like trying to find these stories about this mystical, magical savior, and it's kind of like this Superman's in the background. Or two, it's kind of a build-up prequel-esque series building up towards like maybe even Tyler Hoechlin's Superman, and be kind of like his story. That way we could kind of maybe get a Superman eventually and kind of just build off that universe. Because in a sense, like how much can we really do with just Lois Lane and Lex that keeps us interested? Because I mean, with Gotham, you have young Bruce, and you know it kick-started with his murder of his parents, but you know you're not going to bring in young Clark Kent. Like we'll probably never see him. So it's just kind of like, I don't know, like who are we going to have in the show? Perry White, Lois, maybe Lombard, Lex, maybe Jimmy. You know, like real young Jimmy or something. But like you said, I'm not going to judge, and I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, it's getting kind of ridiculous how many Superman shows there are without Superman at this point. Like, obviously, I'm going to defend Smallville because it was like the first, and Clark Kent was the main character, right? That's a little different than what we have now.
Yeah, it was.
It's a little different.
It was an idea of doing a Superboy-esque show without him actually being Superboy, and just, you know, I've never been a fan of the concept of Clark in the costume as a boy, you know, going around doing stuff. I've always liked the Superboy being more of like the Connor, or now the Jonathan Kent story compared to young Clark. Like, even when they did the Superboy TV series, he was in college.
Yeah.
It's not exactly boy. That's like super young man.
Well, and I thought we were past this phase of like from like, you know, the early 2000s was okay. Let's do a superhero show, but let's have no superhero costumes in it. It's like I thought we were past that, but I guess when it comes to Superman, we're still not.
Yeah, we're kind of like let's explore his world in years. Okay, let's do that with him in it. You know, but it's going to be on the DC streaming service. I wonder if it'll be like a 10 episode. It'll kickstart, you know, and not do like a whole 22 or whatever. So we're gearing up for this DC streaming service, so we're not what to expect. I mean, even if he comes on the show, you know, like and then they want to do it to where it explores Superman's adventures, but as well as Lois, and build a different Lex, and it's all before the timeline of Supergirl, and make it about the city and stuff, and it could be good, but I just, like you said, why do we keep having Superman series without Superman?
Yeah. So the series finale can be Superman showing up and saving a space plane and all that good stuff, and then, you know, so many options. But yeah, it's mixed emotions when you hear about a show like that, and from where I'm sitting.
All right. Well, thanks, Zach, for the quote. So, welcome to Krypton Report. I am your host, Tyler, and with me is, well, a voice you're probably getting used to hearing by now. And this man needs no introduction. He is the other Kryptonian. Trying to think, is there another good Kryptonian? There is? Yeah. It's James Cole. Welcome, James. I'm just thinking, like,
hey, thanks.
We have the house.
Well, you know, there's multiple Kryptonians.
Yeah. This is Superman from Earth 2, Mr. James Cole.
Batman.
There we go. That'll work.
And then Superboy Solo's here playing Injustice, which we learned tonight. Injustice, from Solomon's point of view, is a Batman game, but in the James's house, it's a Superman game. So, in my house, it's just whatever my wife and child tell me it is.
Right.
So we got a really cool trailer for Krypton. So we're going to open up that first. It was called the Legacy trailer. Now, Krypton really is playing to, it seems like it's in its own universe. You know, basically in this trailer, we hear a voice and we see, I think pronouncing his name is going to be Sig-El, who is Kal-El's grandfather. So it's Jor-El's father. And they say your grandson will be the greatest hero. And it's the red cape, but it has the yellow S on the back. So, I mean, that's not a Man of Steel thing. That's not a Supergirl, Superman thing. So it really looks like it's going to be its own pocket universe. What are your thoughts?
Well, I've seen in the comics before, and trying to think of what else. But I know I've seen the yellow insignia on the cape before. Initially Krypton was supposed to be part of the cinematic universe, like a prequel to Man of Steel. A lot of the stuff looks similar. In the trailer, you get a view of the city, or at least a city from afar. And it kind of looks, the terrain looks somewhat similar to Man of Steel, but the city definitely looks in like the bottle city of Kandor with the multiple tall buildings and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in where they're going to go with it like that. But I'll tell you what, when they had that cape, it kind of gave me chills because that was probably, that's how Chris Reeves' cape looked, and it was just awesome to see.
Yeah, it was really cool. And I guess that guy who was telling him about his grandson, Adam Strange. Kind of interesting, though. He looks to be in like a jacket and a hoodie. I don't think that's quite the same style of clothing they wear on Krypton.
No,
so,
Adam Strange is.
It'd be interesting. Is he hiding out, or?
All I know about Adam Strange is he deals with time travel in space. So, and it's neat that it's Adam Strange and not like a Booster Gold, because that would be kind of funny.
Yeah.
Adam Strange is a character I thought that we would see on
really
Supergirl that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I don't really know much about Adam Strange myself either. I actually just heard some information about him on another podcast called The Dynamic Duel, Marvel versus DC, which is pretty interesting. They actually pitted Adam Strange versus Star-Lord.
That'd be a good match.
It was. Spoiler, Adam Strange won.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
There you go.
Let's give it up for DC.
Go DC. Yeah, anyways, it'll be interesting, is he going to be like what legacy is he going to be the greatest hero the universe has ever known, but like kind of when it's going to take place? Which, we know Zod's lineage is going to be in it.
And were you aware that Zod is his last name?
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I knew this, but it's never been brought up. Like his name's supposed to be Drew Zod, but he's always been referred to just as Zod. So it made me wonder if he was like the last of the House of Zod. Because I liked in Man of Steel how there's a couple times that, Lara referred to Jor-El as Jor, and Zod referred to him as El. Like there was, so that shows maybe like, in a proper sense, in the Kryptonian culture, you refer to each other by your surname or something. If you're the head, maybe of your house. But that was just something I thought was interesting that we'd throw out there, that there actually is the House of Zod. But we've never met any other characters from the House of Zod, really.
No, not really. In other mediums, Smallville, comics, even in Man of Steel, they had Theora, who has, largely been Zod's wife. And even in the current run in the current Action comics, there's even what's his name, Lars Zod.
Yeah,
is that what his name is?
It's been a long time since I've read it, but the comic that was written by Jeff Johns and Richard Donner, where Clark Kent and Lois basically adopt a boy who turns out, and they call him Chris Kent, and it turns out to be the son of Zod. And I'm wondering if they're going to tie that continuity with this whole Lar-Zod thing in the current comics. And also, for some reason, my child can sit down and be quiet, but as soon as I decide to do something, he kicks into overdrive.
That's what they're good at.
So, but yeah, I mean, other than that, we've never seen like Zod's father, Zod's grandfather, any brothers or sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going on with
Yeah, it's just
Krypton.
been Zod. Sometimes his wife, and then on a couple occasions a child.
Yeah, and I mean that's all we've ever got. And I mean, I don't know how females' names work in Kryptonia when they're married. But for example, Lara was Lara Lor-Vaughn because a female, her last name is her entire father's name. That's why it's Kara Zor-El. Not Kara El. She's Kara Zor-El. And her father is Zorro. Just like if Jor-El would have had a daughter, it would have been whatever her name was, Jor-El. So, a lot of times you'll see it as the Lady Lara or Lara Lor-Vaughn, even though she's married to Jor-El. I don't know how it works once they're married. I'll have to look that up. That's how nerdy I get.
Yeah, that'll be that's an interesting thought.
That's how deep we get on Krypton Report. Just like Sayla, her name would be
Yes, it
Sayla.
is.
Her name would be Sayla, Jonathan Tyler Patrick. Like, she would have all three of my names.
Very. Talk about a mouthful.
I know, poor child. But maybe that's why they don't have middle names, and their names are short. Zod,
Right.
Jor.
Yeah, you can imagine how they're probably all shortened. They probably got to like these crazy long names. When you ask somebody in like a Latino family, and they've got like 6 names, and they just run them down.
And then you just want to applaud them, like, good job.
Right?
Like, way to go. So that's what's going on with Krypton. I'm gearing up more and more for this show. I'm excited.
Oh, yeah, me too. It's coming soon. End of next month. Towards the end of next month.
Yeah, right now we're about to enter our dry period, and I say that you and I are kind of planning some cool stuff to do during this next, like I said, the dry period, because we know that Supergirl's going off here in an episode. It's going to take a hiatus, and they're going to finish out the Legends run in its time slot. And then, so Supergirl will be back in April. So we're going into a Kryptonian dry spell. Because,
Sadly.
But we still got other shows. I mean, we got Flash and Arrow and Legends and Black Lightning. So we're good. Like, we ain't going to suffer,
Yeah.
Flash
isn't too bad this season. A lot of the supporting cast has really stepped up in the roles. While Barry, I was actually just discussing, like, he's been in jail so long, like, they're saving the budget.
Yeah, they're like, woohoo! So when he gets out, they're just going to be like, let's blow it. Boom.
Right.
But, no, I mean, I've liked this season. I haven't had a problem with it. My problem has always been more about Iris, her attitude, and just how they treat her character and what they're trying to do with Iris's character. She has like the least experience out of anybody, and she's supposed to be like leading the team. So that's just kind of been my thing. It's been weird how they've treated Wally. Like, I'm glad that Wally's going to be going to Legends because I think that's where he should be. Because right now it doesn't make sense to have Flash and Kid Flash. But they've definitely, like, his exit's been really weird. this season so far. And like right now, while Barry's in jail, you think Wally would be there, but he's not.
That would actually that would make sense. You know, they've had a lot of speedsters in the Flash through the first 3 seasons, so.
And that's one reason I'm really happy with this season is I'm glad that I really wish they would have done the Thinker in season 3, and done Savitar like season 4 or 5, and had done more with Savitar and kind of made it more about. I wish they would have just wrote out the Dr. Alchemy more, and then brought in Savitar, because they could have done some cooler things with seeing Savitar throughout time, and like how the season could have started and there could have been like this cult and this group that worships Savitar, and Barry's trying to figure out why all of a sudden he feels like there's this like a new religion, but everyone talks like it's been going around for a long time. And and they could have done something really awesome where Savitar, instead of being as convoluted as it was, when Barry created Flashpoint, okay, it could have somehow the time remnant that he created to stop Zoom was saved, but still stopped Zoom, and that time remnant got thrown into time, and that time remnant became Savitar. Like that, something a little less convoluted than the time remnant he creates to stop Savitar actually is Savitar, and he's Savitar. Like, it just got too much, like too heavy, and it was just too much of always fighting another speedster. But I'm digging the thing. Yeah. Even though, like, I liked the actor they had for the first Clifford DeVoe, like really Clifford DeVoe, before he took over this new guy's body. Because, if he felt more like someone that the Flash should go against. And yes, we're divulging and talking about the Flash. You know what? This is my podcast. If I want to talk some Flash on it, I'm going to talk some Flash on it. So
right.
But I mean, we're gonna do. We're already planning. You and I are talking. We're gonna do a whole episode on Black Lightning. I want to wait till the season's over and just kind of do like a season discussion because I feel like each episode's really good, and I think it should drop on Netflix like a week after it ends. Is I think like a week and a day or something like that. So then we can kind of go back and pick it apart a little bit and really like talk about it as a full season since we're not doing episode by episode. But if you're not watching it, you should be, because it definitely is a lot more of a refreshing show. It's not as cookie cutter as some of the other ones have become of each other.
Oh yeah, definitely a new take on superhero shows on CW. A very strong social commentary, very well acted. It's got mature content, and it's a very, very good show. I'm really enjoying it. The 3 episodes that we've had.
So you're hearing that from us, so that it must be true then. 2 white guys in Ohio who like Black Lightning. That's how good the show is. Honestly, we could talk about it, but I'm just kind of holding out back because I really want to talk about it straightforward in an episode. But
yeah,
I finally got my wife to watch it with me, and she was digging it because she watches Supergirl and Flash with us. She's kind of fallen off on Arrow and Legends, and she's gonna watch Legends when it returns because she likes Constantine. But I think she's digging Black Lightning now. Well, but without any more ado,
a lot to keep up on.
Oh, it is. It's crazy. We're gonna now jump into Supergirl season 3, episode 12. For Good. Now, one thing about this episode that I picked up on my second watch that I didn't notice, I want to just throw this out there. Lena calls Mr. Olsen Jimmy. And if you remember in the pilot, he says it's James. Only my mother and the big guy call me Jimmy.
Well, I mean, when it comes to a relationship, the dynamic that Lena and Jimmy been developing. I mean, it's a little easier. Somebody your significant other will call you something only they can call you.
Exactly, and it's a
Speaking
small thing.
which, occasionally my wife will call me Jimmy, and everybody calls me James.
See, I go by my middle name Tyler, because my mom liked it better, but my first name's Jonathan, and nobody calls me Jonathan except when you're at the doctor's office or at like some professional thing they call you out. But my wife is the only one who calls me Johnny, and that's like her little term of endearment for me. So it's a small thing that someone might have missed. But I think we also get another line of dialogue that I found really interesting is they mentioned Zod in the future, but then Wynn says, didn't Superman kill Zod? So this Earth Superman killed Zod as well.
Yeah, I think I think they were giving the fans of Man of Steel a bone there. Plus, he's killed Zod in the comic books.
He killed Zod in
usually
Superman
different
2.
versions of him.
And in the theatrically released version, not any deleted scenes, alternate cuts, he throws Zod down a pit in the fortress. Okay?
Yep.
And then, of course, they
just drops him down into an icy grave.
So, and that's before he decides to reverse time and all that jazz, okay? So let's just say he did kill Zod.
I truly believe he killed Zod in many iterations. I have never had any problem with that fact in Man of Steel. Man of Steel being basically my favorite Superman movie.
You know what? That's okay. I can't pick, honestly. Honestly, I can't. There's I'd have to cut them all up together to make my favorite. I can tell you my least favorite. But even then, I can't even say that because it holds a special place in my heart just because of timing and my life at the time. So yeah, I won't even say what my least favorite is. Yeah, but moving forward. So the episode opened, we saw Supergirl having a nightmare where she saw rain and fire, and I get very apocalyptic feeling, with rain. I almost felt they should bust out the Book of Ra and it should have some sort of Book of Revelation that talked about the rain coming down and what was supposed to be the end of Ra or something, and it's this whole prophecy, and that's kind of what rain is. I feel like there should be some more mythological, because they touched on the religious aspect and everything with rain and the priestesses. And that guy, I can't remember his name, who was, started the cult about Supergirl, but then he switched sides. So I feel like it'd be kind of neat if they did more of this epic, apocalyptic prophecy with rain. And now we know that there's other world killers. There's 2 more, Pestilence and Purity, which just sounds like there should be 4 horsemen. Or the apocalypse.
Yeah, they need 1 more.
I like Mon-El.
Yeah. The religious stuff will be interesting. They've done the messianic complex for Superman, which is kind of weird how they've gone from how he was more of a Moses. Baby in the Reeds character when he was created by his Jewish creators, and now he's more of a
he's
Christian Jesus.
Yeah. They're like, they come back like, whoa,
complex.
guys, slow it down, okay? He was supposed to represent Moses, not Jesus.
Yep. So it would be interesting for them to, at least, touch on that a little bit, for Supergirl as well, at least some of the other religious aspects of the Kryptonian religion in the show.
Yeah, I mean, the Ral stuff is always interesting. It was barely touched on in Smallville. That was the first time that I can think of that it was brought into live action. Now, we do get a line from Mon-El who talks about that when they're discussing that Rain must not be like full Kryptonian, talk about experiments, and Mon-El says they've fought many hybrids before, with the Legion. We find out that Alex was a doctor before being part of the quote-unquote FBI.
Yeah. Yes. That's what her digital badge says once in a while.
Yeah, FBI. Right. Just next thing she needs is the rock star alias, and then she's on the different show. But Morgan Edge, and we've had a lot of friction between Edge and Lena, and they're trying to kill each other still. Edge's car blows up. And of course, his first reaction is it's Lena. And it's kind of sad that her last words to him were, go to hell. And then his car blows up. So that doesn't look good for her.
Right. Well, as you try and kill each other back and forth, I mean, who else are you going to try and blame?
Exactly. It's just kind of a duh, like...
It's the first person your mind's going to go to. Then he tries to get her back.
Yeah,
by poisoning her coffee.
And man, that was intense. Like, she started foaming at the mouth, and Jimmy's like, Mercy, Tessmacher, where did you get the coffee? She's like, the cart. And Jimmy chases him down. I'm like, yeah, go James. Running the dude down, guy pulls a gun. I almost expect him to, like...
I didn't get very far from James having to come from, whatever floor they're on.
For real?
I'm sure a top floor or something.
I was almost expecting him to, like, turn his watch and, like, his whole Guardian suit comes from his watch or something. I was just kind of, expecting something like that crazy. But we did get the first appearance of Guardian this season in this episode. When James, as Guardian, goes and shakes down Morgan Edge.
Yep. Except for Guardian when he got killed by the Fuhrer.
That was a different Earth. That was a different Earth. He had a different color suit.
Yep. This was the second time we've seen Guardian this season.
Which is weird because there hasn't even been dialogue addressing it. Like, James says something like, I've been too busy. I want to put this on hold. I don't want to do this right now. But no. So now, if I'm not wrong, okay, every time Supergirl has been at the DEO, it's always been as Supergirl. And around all the agents has always been Supergirl. It's only kind of been in private with certain people. It's Kara. But this episode, she just flies into the DEO full in Kara mode. I don't know if I've seen her in the DEO of Kara.
I'm trying to think. I can't cite anything specific, but I'm pretty sure I've seen her in Kara get up at the DEO before, but it's rare.
And that's why I feel like maybe I have, or something,
That's something we'd have to find in a rewatch of the series so far.
Yep.
For season 2 and 3.
We'll have to put that on our Invisible Now rewatch tally board list. And we'll just have to binge seasons 1, 2, and see what we can find out. But I just, she flew Lena there, and of course, one thing I love about this show is I love getting to see all the different powers. And, Alex, with her doctor background, says with Lena being poisoned, they're not sure what kind of poison. They need to bring her heart rate down and put her on hypothermia. So what happens? Freeze breath. Just makes her cold. And now
Drops your temperature really fast. She spiked from 100 plus degrees straight down to like 80 something.
Which is awesome. I wish I had that available to me.
Right?
One thing we forgot.
Hey, it's like the opposite in Smallville when Jimmy and Lois are freezing. Clark just does a wide heat vision beam, just slightly radiates enough and warms him up, and then he's gone.
Exactly.
They're very versatile in being able to use their abilities.
My favorite's how they are learning their abilities in one episode, and then the next one they've mastered it. I was saying it was originally when Alex was talking about being a doctor, because she was doing the tests on Sam. Sam, who's trying to keep everything on the down low about what's going on with her. And I was thinking they say that the tests come back negative, and that's like one of the worst things ever when you know something's wrong, but every test comes back negative, and you almost wish it would come back positive just so you know what it is and how to fight it. But being stuck in that unknown of, it's negative, and you're just like, then what's wrong with me is like the worst feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, what are you going to do? Like, you can't do anything at that point. Just keep worrying.
So, on a side note, too, we haven't seen John Jones' dad in a while. I'm kind of missing him. Just throwing that out there. Just one of those things I'm going to keep my eyes out for. And I'm really sad how underplayed Martian Manhunter is. His abilities, his powers, just, he could be out there really kicking some butt. And I feel like he's always downplayed. He just kind of... that was he kind of is. I mean, he's definitely been in the habit of using his powers a little more since the first season, as he started to get back in touch with his powers, because he hasn't used them in so long, except for staying in Hank Henshaw form. But him being such a powerful character, Superman level, and some would debate even more powerful. With his extra various abilities, but he's majorly downplayed. There's a lot he could be doing in Supergirl, but he really holds back. And I just kind of wish that maybe they had created something that caused him to be held back, but that's another conversation. Now, I don't know if you know this, but somehow I missed something where all of a sudden they start talking about a vanishing bullet. I don't know how they got there, but they start talking about a vanishing bullet. And then...
I did catch a little bit of that. The autopsy or something that they performed on the guy who poisoned Lena when Jimmy was trying to catch him. The autopsy they performed, he was shot, but there was no bullet.
Okay.
There was no exit wound, but there was no bullet to be found.
All right, so that's the part I missed. It was on that guy. Now, of course, Lena, it sparks something in her. She traces the bullet, and we find out that Lillian's back. Now, did you think for a second that Lillian poisoned her own daughter? Like, I kind of had that, because she says she's there to kill Edge, because Edge is trying to kill her daughter. But I almost thought that maybe Lillian, poisoned her just to, draw out... draw the conflict more. I wasn't sure, but it did feel that kind of way for a second.
I don't know. That thought never really occurred to me.
Maybe I'm just she's just a Luthor, so I watch too much Smallville.
Yeah. Right, they're always trying to kill each other.
And we have a good conversation where Lillian's like, "Why are you trying to be Cat Grant when you can be Lena Luthor?" She talks about a revenge that she got on a girl when she was in 5th grade. And it sparked something in Lena that she is a thinker. She is, a chess player. She steps ahead. And the irony is, Lena actually has to save Morgan Edge because her mom's going to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And she takes Kara and
I do like the way when you talking about how she's a thinker, how she said she's even more devious that she can be if she applied herself. She could be even more devious than Lex Luthor.
Which is
because Lex Luthor's more emotional, more hot-headed.
Which makes me wonder if Lena will slowly go into that territory, because I'd like to see her stay around. Because I really do enjoy her character. My favorite is Lena gets into this party.
It could be down the road or something, just for the fact that she did see Mon-El. She did see Mon-El fighting alongside Supergirl and who else was it? But yeah, she saw Mon-El, and that did kind of strike a question. But she kind of let it go pretty quickly. So could be something down the road that Kara's been lying to her for so long, and
that's kind of what I'm waiting to see, is like that kind of a fallout, because I feel like it could be building. Because if we go to like the next part in real quick, jumping ahead, like Sam does come clean with her about her blackouts and stuff to Lena and Kara, her friends, and she talks about Ruby and protecting Ruby. That goes back to like what Jania said. I think that it'd be awesome if something happened and Alice took care of Ruby and got to be the mom to Ruby. And she came out to her friends, and, it's kind of like that. Sam has something going on with her, and like Kara has something going on, but nobody's telling Lena, but they're all supposed to be open to each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lies in these shows, lies definitely have a way of making the characters, especially villainous characters, making them feel very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Just betrayed.
Jaded.
Yeah. So the coolest part of this episode happens when we see the drone that was attacking Mortgage Egg changes into the Lexo suit, and Lillian puts on the Lex suit and fights Supergirl. Full-on kryptonite-powered Lex suit. How did that make you feel?
Well, one, I thought it was really cool to actually finally see the Lexo suit in live action, and
Yes.
I must admit that they did a very good job. How, I guess, Iron Man-like it attached to her and expanded around her body. They did a very good job, especially for it being on television. The only thing I have to say is I'm kind of sad. The first time you see a Lexo suit in any live-action version, it's not Lex Luthor. It's not versus, Superman. It's Lillian Luthor versus Supergirl.
It's kind of like, reminds me of Friday the 13th. The first time you meet the killer, it's his mom. And then he comes back as the killer.
Right.
Kind of wait for Lex to pop out.
All in all, it was actually pretty cool.
It was cool. I mean, I freaked because I didn't see it coming. And like you said, we're going to take a little side detour real quick here. One character I think would be awesome to see appear, I think it'd be better on the TV series than in the films, is John Henry Irons. But I think the hard part about him would, how do you bring in Steel and not make him feel like Iron Man? I've thought about this, and I think the best way we could do it is maybe make him the Steel suit is a Kryptonian battle armor that's like maybe more of a liquid metal. That could be really neat.
Yeah, he would make him look a lot more like Citizen Steel from Legends, as opposed to Iron Man or Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh my God! Everyone talks about how bad Batman and Robin is, but my God, have they seen Catwoman or Steel? Because Steel is the worst DC movie ever made.
I have not seen Steel since I don't know, what year did it come out?
97. That was the year that Steel, Spawn, Batman and Robin all came out.
Was it 97? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I only saw it once when I was 12 years old.
Yep. I saw it once when I was 12 years old because my aunt took me to see it. I wanted to see Spawn, but she took us to see Steel, which I get it. And I saw it one other time later after that. I think we rented it. And I haven't seen it since. So, because I know that it's bad. But yeah, I think John Henry Irons is a great character. I really would like the idea that he's like into weapons design and military, and then he leaves the service and is having a hard time finding a job. Takes that construction worker job, gets saved by Superman, and then Superman gets hurt. Or if we want to do Supergirl or whatever, and then because of the inspiration becomes Steel, literally the Man of Steel. I think it's a great arc, great story, great reasoning. They could definitely do something like that, and I think it would probably work better on television. But you just don't want to make him look like an Iron Man character.
No, I definitely feel that. I definitely feel that would be a pretty cool character to introduce in television. They don't have too many like super family members out there. People only know Superman. Few people know Superboy, and a few people know Supergirl.
Now,
and
Superboy would be interesting if it was like Earth 2 evil Superboy Prime. They brought him in or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like that could be neat. It's like an arc for Supergirl and Superman to stop. I part of me even thinks that why not? Like you and I talked about Superman versus the Elite. Why not just do like Supergirl versus the Elite kind of thing? They've already done several Superman-based stories with Supergirl. Why not do kind of her versus the Elite? Because that could be a really cool couple episode arc, But the other thing I was going to say is like Iron Man, like when they redid RoboCop, the original RoboCop, I feel like he's a robot. When they redid RoboCop, which I didn't mind the remake, but it felt more like an Iron Man guy in a suit than a man who's actually a machine. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I liked the new one because the one thing they did was they focused more on Alex Murphy, kind of as a person, as a guy with family.
Yes.
I mean, when they show that he's just literally like a head and a heart and lungs, like he has nothing left to him.
That part
that's pretty deep, pretty far from.
I thought that scene was awesome. Like it was really out there when they did it. But
yeah, that was the first time I saw Bill Kennedy before they on his leg.
Same here. But I mean, so that's that episode. I mean, that pretty much wraps it up. Anything else you have we want to add to it? For good.
For good. No, not really. It's the coolest thing in it was the Lexo suit. And yeah, kryptonite powered. She actually physically fought Supergirl. So it was totally in action. Wasn't just visual.
Which was awesome. Like, all right. Well, that'll wrap us up for this episode. Thank you, James, for being part of another great commentary, and we can get off on our tangents, but I find our tangents pretty entertaining. I'm hoping that most people do as well.
Oh yeah, I hope so too.
All right, man. Well,
You know, it all what's the word it all ties together.
it all works out in the end. It all brings it home. It's not like we're off talking about, something that makes no sense. Why we'd even bring it up on the show? Pff. Flash.
Yeah, right. Why would we talk about Flash or Black Lightning on a comic book podcast show?
Exactly. Like, why would we do these things? All right, man. Well, thank you for being a part of the show. And, any plugs you want to say real quick about where people can find you, or if they want to talk to you, or anything like that?
And if they want to reach me on Facebook. Just James Cole, Cole, the third. And no, that's about it for now.
All right. Well, thank you.
There's a thin line between heroism and madness.
Here the line fades to nothing at all. This is a world of capes and lunatics.
And nothing is off limits.
So be sure to check out Capes and Lunatics for all your nerdy needs and randomness, as well as many other awesome shows on the Southgate Media Network. If you have an interest, I bet we have a show. And you can find me on Capes and Lunatics. So until then, keep listening.